Good afternoon, good evening to some. Um, not gonna do any poetry, not gonna play any music. I just wanna speak a little bit about this government shutdown that I think some people maybe a week or two ago thought it was funny, thought it was a joke. And me being the kind of person I am, uh, see, when I tell people I don't watch TV, hey Tam, when I tell people I don't watch TV, it's not that I don't look at the television. It's not that I don't look at social media. It's not that I don't see posts and advertising and this and that. I see it. I choose not to watch TV because once I became knowledgeable and somewhat educated on how this world works, and I'm still an infant when it comes to understanding everything. And I think people who are powerful in particular sectors are ignorant to a lot of other things as well. Um, but when you have power in your respected position or positions, and those positions can affect bodies of people, different walks of life. You have to stop thinking racial. You got to stop thinking or allowing other people to think for you. Now, obviously, watching TV and watching different social media outlets will, maybe put it this way, dictate some of your thought, right? A lot of things we talk about are based on things we see, based on things we hear. Uh, and I guess bottom line is we get swayed by the opinions of others. So when you get on this social media, hello Queen, how you doing? When you get on social media of any type, when you are Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and um, with the algorithms and all this stuff that they have set up. See, I was talking to a buddy last night. Education used to be a way to fight, coming together as a big old group of people on an issue used to allow us to have an agenda, um, have a narrative, push it, and see some results. But the world that we live in today, what people don't understand is there's a machine, and I've been telling y'all this since I've been having a YouTube channel. There is a machine that operates. People live, people die, people are born into it, born into positions of power. And when you look at all that's going on, it isn't just about social media, but how can they get groups of people to think about the same shit at the same time? And it could be totally irrelevant shit. Last few weeks, it has been about let's see, R. Kelly. Okay, R. Kelly, R. Kelly, R. Kelly. Before that, it was all this 6ix9ine stuff. You get this Me Too stuff going on, and then you have this latest thing that's happened with the girl being quote unquote raped at the club. Um, 5 million views they got. 5 million views she got on her YouTube. I mean, on her Facebook. She was live the whole time, right? Other people were live. Now you talking about it, you know, just like with other cases, KJ for example, you give us enough information to have us talking about it. You leave out enough information to have us continue talking about it. And before you know it, everybody has an opinion. Everybody's weighing in. There's only one fact, but because there's so many different ideas and narratives and so many holes that need to be filled in these stories, everybody has something to say about it. Oh, I always do that. I always cover my speaker. Sorry. But because there's so many different narratives and so many different opinions and things of that nature, you have so many people who aren't focused on what the real issues are. Now, I don't really be on social media that much. I'll scroll and check my notifications, leave pictures of my family and food and stuff like that. But I try not to get too wrapped up into the whole idea of social media. I read like 10 years ago how they wanted the whole world to be connected. You know, I might not know somebody, you might not know them, but we might be friends of somebody who knows somebody, and then that whole thing keeps on going. Not too long from now, the whole world will be in contact with each other by way of Facebook and social media. Now, if you want to cause mass hysteria, if you want to cause people to not even focus on what the mass hysteria would produce, then you throw up all these stories. You throw all these loopholes into our understanding, right? So we get a how you guys doing? How you doing? So you get a lot of different narratives going on. We got this going on. We got that going on. Everybody's blaming Trump. Ignorance is bliss, and ignorance spreads like a wildfire. If you think that one man can shut down the government by himself, why the fuck is there a government? I need y'all to think about this. We don't live in a dictatorship. We don't have a king. We don't have an emperor. We have a judicial system, an executive branch, and we have the legislative branch. House of Representatives, House of Senates, all this shit, right? What people don't understand, just like Barack was a puppet. He was a pawn. He was put in office to have people that look like me simmer down. You notice when Barack was in office, there wasn't a lot of marching going on. There wasn't a lot of civil rights type of issues going on, because he would blanket a black issue with a minority issue. And anything other than quote unquote white, which I don't even understand. Half of the white people are Dutch and Jewish, is all kind of white, right? But what they do to blanket certain issues is they'll make it a minority issue. The funny thing about that is if your name is messed up, if your track record ain't that good, you're not going to benefit from any of the benefits. Any other minorities will be able to get those benefits. Barack was put in office to make us think that there's more equality and there's more opportunity. Let's be 100% honest. What changed when Barack was in office, serving 2 terms? His biggest accomplishment was right before he left, he let, I think it was 300 and something people go free. Now, we're not saying people that were innocent, just 300 people were free. He let more people out of jail in his 1 term than all presidents put together as far as the pardon. Now, if you ask me, that does more hurt than it does good. So moving on to Trump. Now, Obama didn't have the power to move nothing himself. What makes y'all think Trump has the power to shut the whole government down? What makes y'all think that the government is fighting when they have lunch together? Yeah, but it ain't him. The whole system need to go to jail. Everybody thinks it's just Trump. It ain't Trump. Trump is the fucking mascot. Trump is the puppet. We put a man in office that says what he wants and does what he wants. And we got desensitized to that shit when he was running for office. By the time he made it to president, we already understood we got a motherfucking in the office that doesn't conduct himself like a president. He actually conducts himself like a dictator. Actually, let me tell you, Trump came into office opposing the regular government. Trump came into office on some business shit, like he has always been. Trump is a businessman, not a politician. But if we go deeper into it, if these people all fraternize together, don't you think it's easy for them to say, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna make it look like this, and Trump, you could be the fall guy because don't give a damn. He came into Trump is a billionaire. Okay. When they take away your benefits, Trump still got benefits. A lot of those people that are in the business part of the government, because that's what it really is, it's big business, they're not going to be affected. The reason why I'm doing this live is because I'm a very spiritual person, and I seen and I feel what's going on. Shit is so much bigger than some government shutdown. But I want to let y'all know, talking to a buddy of mine, he was like, that's what they want us to do. They want us to not fight. But they've been working on us not fighting for years. The fluoride with the whole LGBT movement. You know, a guy who's a little more feminine is less apt to fight. And women don't go out there fighting in the first place. But if you put everybody on this playing field where it's like, you know, people don't fight no more. People don't march no more. People are only concerned about themselves. We live in a very give me time period in life. And people just want theirs. You know, the whole let's fight you, or let's pick an issue and agree on it and fight for that issue. That shit's gone down the toilet. Going down the tube. There's about to be mass hysteria. I'm scared for the people. I'm not really scared for myself, but I'm not in this world by myself, and I have to be part of this world. I will be subject to what everybody else is subject to. I've just been reading about this shit for the last 20 years. This is nothing new to me. What's about to happen late February, early March, it's going to be bad. When you tell people here, we're cutting off your benefits until the shutdown, and the latest I heard was it may be 6 months. You know how much anarchy, how much hysteria, how much bullshit's gonna happen in the next month or so? They have all these concentration camps. Most of them are in middle America. Most of the natural disasters happen on the outskirts of this country, thus pushing people more inward. The California fires along the coast, the tornadoes, you know, that water come over them levees and all that. All this stuff happens along the coasts, and you can't move back into those areas once you are forced out of them. When you guys start reading about these concentrations, where they are, they're operable now. People are going up these stairs. People are basically manning them now. They're operation. So this is what I'm thinking. Hold on real quick. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they are prepping to fill up these concentration camps. I believe people are going to be stealing, robbing, taking a whole bunch of stuff that ain't theirs. And number one, what's the number one thing that a person, a regular family thinks about? The number one thing is food. Okay? You think about food before you think about bills. Like you okay, if it's hunger or homeless, you're going to eat because you can eat while homeless, but you're not necessarily going to have food with a home, right? I just really feel in my system that this is the beginning of the end of this country. I really feel in my system that, like I said, we are about to be a third world country. let alone the 5G network that's coming, that's killing people, that's gonna kill people. The radiation you get from such is just amazing. They used to say you put it in the book. I'm paraphrasing, but basically you put the info in a book. Anybody gonna read? And think about this. This is a social media age. Who gonna get a whole book and sit and read through a whole book nowadays when you can go just get the little information you need by putting a quote or a question in Google? They've made it so easy for us to be dumb that, let's just say 10, 15 years ago, had we caught wind of what's going on and we were able to fight it as a group of people, it'd be different. But this machine has been working most of all of our lives. Population control, population density, they want less people. Now, if you look at it from the government perspective, welfare and things of that nature were supposed to be stepping stones. People have gotten on welfare and pitched a tent. Now, let's look at it from, let's just say, if I was the government and I said, hey, I'm going to give you 2 years to get on your feet. I'm going to give you housing, medical, and food. And I'm going to give you 2 years to get on your feet. All the welfare systems have programs, job placements, things of that nature. But when you got a certain amount of kids, you ain't got no man at the house, which the government takes the place of the man, you're less apt to go through the whole process to be able to stand on your feet and look back and say, thank you, welfare. Not that people don't do it, but a lot of people get on welfare and they stay there. So then you have people who have babies early, baby daddy leaves, or maybe they both together, but a lot of people just lay down and have sex. They don't think about the repercussions until it's time. But you need some help. You need some food. You need some aid. So you go up there and get some aid and get some help. But you don't use the system how it's constructed to be used. So now you have millions of people who are aided by the welfare system, and they basically are leeches. Now, people who pay taxes would be paying them anyway. I don't like that term when people say, oh, you're on welfare, I pay taxes, I buy your food. Well, if the tax wasn't going there, you don't know exactly where your tax money is going anyway. And you have to think about how many write-offs and things people get by giving away the food and all this stuff. But my point is, when you take millions of aid away from millions of people, basic needs, we're not talking about, oh, we're just taking the job placement away. They're taking the food away. They're taking the Medicare away. And think about it. How are you going to pay your rent if you get welfare? So let's just say, fast forward February 28th, Sunday night or whatever, and you are to get paid, your normal schedule is the first. Money's on the card, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. That money ain't going to be on the card March 1st. What are you going to do? You got 3 or 4 kids, 2 of them sick right now. You living off the money they gave you for February in the middle of January. They know people are going to go spend that money now. You're selling extra stamps. You're buying extra food. You got so much food stamps right now. You're not used to having that once. You're buying shit you don't normally get. So that pack of steak is $15, where it could have been 150 top ramens and some canned goods and some non-perishable items. But we're not thinking like that. You know why? Because we're not a society who prepares. We're a society that reacts. So when I take your check and I take your benefits, now you're going to have to react. Now, what's going to happen to the mother who can't feed those kids? Is that another way to say, hey, that's child endangerment, neglect? And think about it. They can't put millions of people in the jail because they only have so much room. That's where these concentration camps come in at. They're going to put whole families in those camps. When you talk about the people that are missing, there's so many homeless people missing. I get so tired. Like all I have to read is a little bit, and I understand like where it's going, and it just messes my spirit up. One of the reasons I haven't been on YouTube in a while is because my spirit is toe up. I'm in a whole bunch of different places. I don't want to be naive and or ignorant to information. But when you open yourself up to it, you're knowledgeable about it. And if it coincides with beliefs you have, it could really fuck you up. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm toe up inside. I'm toe up spiritually, mentally, and emotionally because I understand a little bit of what's going on, but I also understand that a lot of people don't even have a fucking clue as to what is transpiring right now. All these different things are equaling up to me to a very small handful of I, basically the machine had a plan. The machine obviously is a body of people, but this machine has been working for years. So we can't just wake up and say, okay, let's fight the machine. You hungry, I'm hungry. What you gonna do? It's a little bit too late to react. Your only reaction now is gonna be crime. You know, with the government shutting down, you can't file your taxes. I mean, you probably can't even get help with at the Social Security building right now, which I'm a witness of. I tried to get, they keep locking me out the system. I'm trying to get my new Social Security card, a new Social Security card, an ID, and they're making it like virtually impossible. Call back. When they called me back, I answered it. The phone hung up. Both of them this morning. And some told me to call today because I kind of want to see what they. And then they're you can't talk to a live person. They're giving you automated, um, and calling you back. But it's about to go down. It's about to be very bad. Um, Years ago when they started talk about bunkers and people with all this perishable food. Now this is the part where it bothers me. Let's just say I had a stockpile for a year, water, canned goods, and things like that. First of all, when somebody catches wind of you have that much stockpile in the midst of this mass hysteria that's going on, now you're gonna be a victim. When people know what you got and they ain't got it, they're gonna come get it. It's different from going in the store. It's much easier to go in the house. You know what I mean? Um, but let's just say I was prepared for a year. Then what after the year? What happens after the stockpile is over? I'm gonna be part of the group trying to eat. I don't want to go or take, but do we lay down and just die somewhere off in the mountain somewhere, or do you survive? And whatever comes under that umbrella of survival, which may mean going in the store, stealing a pack of meat or a box of noodles or whatever it is. And I don't think people are really focusing on it. You might have some money put up, but all it is a switch of a button, especially if your money is electronic. All it takes is for them to they can shut down our cell phones. They can shut down these cell towers. We have been so dependent on this easy, quick access that we have relinquished all of our rights. Patriot Acts and this and that. Do you know that if me and you came together with picket signs and said something about get Trump out of office or, something against the government, it could be seen as an act of terrorism. You could be in jail for marching, especially if the government is on the other end of your idea, of your perspective, if they're your opposition. Um, it's kind of like, and it's a weird way because I get it, but that's kind of like having a march in your house against your dad. You know what I mean? And that's the way they set it up. We can't oppose anything without getting in trouble. But I want y'all to think about it. Just to be a little bit educated, maybe it matters. Maybe it matters to prolong the way you live for a while, or prolong life in general. But I need y'all to research a little bit. Look up them concentration camps. Look up why they are there. They're not jails. Think about it. They have prisons. Prisons aren't full. Those concentration camps are for whole families. You will be an indentured slave. If you read the last executive order that the president did, Barack signed, it gave the government the power to use its own citizens as a form of slaves. They can shut the roads off, they can shut the water off, they can shut off food supplies, and you'll be asked, do you want to work with us, or you want to work against us? There is a color scheme. They know who is rebellious based on your history and the way you live your life. They know who's going to be calm and calm down. They know who's not going to fight. Um, and maybe they will issue the food stamps, but when we're talking about government shutdown, the idea of it in itself creates, for people who are paying attention, creates this idea of mass hysteria. Okay. And just because you get your food don't mean you're going to get your benefits. Don't mean you're going to get your rent. There's people who are absolutely dependent on that, not technically being prepared for, a shutdown or a computer failure, and it's hard when you're living check to check to save some money, because as soon as we pay our bills, we waiting 29, 30 days for the next check. It's a vicious cycle, and it's a horrible way to live. But just do yourself some due diligence. I'm honestly scared. I'm scared for people. I'm scared for us. For myself, I'm a little bit more prepared, because I've been reading about such things for a long time, and I'm just watching how everything's going. And you know, every couple weeks there's a new thing on social media that gets our attention, and all these memes and people making fun of it, people who otherwise don't even care. Now that everybody's talking about it, you have an opinion. I've seen so many people making fun about this government shutdown. How funny is it going to be in a couple weeks from now? That's all I'm saying. How funny is it going to be when you go check that card and that rent ain't on there? And or maybe if that food isn't on there, or one of the kids gets sick and you can't, we're not accepting that right now. You're on Social Security, and what if they only give you half of it? The landlord might be facing some things themselves, and you not being able to pay rent will have your ass out on the streets. So you say you got your food, but where you gonna put it? I just feel a very negative, demonic wave happening. I don't believe nothing I hear, and hardly believe anything I see. So basically, I'll go ahead and stop here ranting with Raven or whatever, but just get a little bit knowledgeable and take this shit serious. When you got military people that have served this country, who have worked their, they've worked their whole lives to have a certain status, when they can't go buy food, I'm looking up shit now where, even though the county and all that is state, it's still a government program. It's still government assistance. It's called government assistance. It didn't say nothing about a federal shutdown. It's a government shutdown. So right now, yes, the government workers are the ones being affected, but you don't think that's going to trickle down? If it's affecting the people who actually work, the people who actually pay taxes, the people who actually help this country be a country, you don't think it's going to help a person who just sits on their ass waiting on a check? there will be an effect. If the TSA workers and the military force and the IRS still got to work, you don't think the people who aren't working, who depend on the people who work to eat, aren't going to be affected? Yeah. I'm just saying, we can believe what we want, but when we see certain things happening, uh, like Amanda said, I seen on the news the other day where the government workers were standing in line, basically getting food baskets. Uh, Not to say that they're broke, but they're trying to save the money that they do have, not knowing what the outlook is going to be. So imagine the people who don't have bank accounts. Imagine the people who don't have a red cent waiting on their check. Like I said, if the government people are being affected, the government workers, the people who are actually responsible for the machine to keep working, you don't think the people sitting at home waiting on a social security check or SSI check or welfare are going to be affected at some point? That's ludicrous to even think that it's going to just be okay. You're technically, people in those positions aren't even making a contribution. It's all about what they receive. So you got to look at it from the government perspective. There's millions of people who make no contribution to the world except to bring babies and then ask for help. That is kind of one of the reasons, like, because people be asking me, well, you got a son, why don't you go get food stamps? And I'm hard-headed and I'm stubborn about it. And I just really want to do as much as I possibly can with the energy that the creator has given me and not depend on something. Because once you start depending on it, you depend on it. And you spend money around it. And then they say, okay, look, we're not giving you your shit this month. And you're planning on it. You know, you don't have a backup plan. Um, yeah, I'm hella stubborn, but I'm also read, also am aware of a lot of things, and I never wanted to be hooked on. And I have a what do you call that? I can't think of the word, but I'm one of those people that once I start doing something, like that's what I do. I do it because I like it, or I get comfortable. I'm not gonna lie. I'm in a little bit of the situation I'm in my personal life because I got comfortable. Basically, not practicing what I preach, and I'm totally aware of that. But sometimes our comfort can lead us into more despair, and I believe the system itself, when it began to help people at such a rate, people got comfortable. A lot of people got comfortable. Um, but just pay attention, y'all, to what's going on. I believe all of us will be affected. When you look at the government officials themselves being affected, I think it's going to trickle down. How could I look up and see, okay, that guy actually works, have a government job, he's pays taxes, this and that. He's affected. Like, really affected. How could I look at it and say, well, that shit ain't gonna come down and trickle me? I'm too far from it. I don't work for the government. I don't, you can't be naive to that. Like, I think it's another way to show if it's happening to them, it's damn sure gonna happen to you. If you're one, and not everybody's in a bad situation. Some people are left in situations where they needed to help. Some people are hurt. Some people have gotten, are elders to where they have worked. It's like a pension, basically, your social security. You pay into that the years that you work, but it's all government. Even if it comes from just the state you live in, it's still government. And I believe it's starting at the high level and it's going to trickle on down. There are a few countries right now that literally are not eating. The inflation rate is something like 1,000 or 10,000%. Greece, another one that I saw last night. Yep, this is what happens when people don't get out and vote. Crime rate will be going up. Yes, it's and this is the thing. This is not an American issue. It's a world issue. We live in the freest country. And think about it. We're not that free. Every move we make, every conversation we have, everything we do is being recorded and watched. And if you're big enough on the totem pole, they're watching you for real. If you're small and you're a small fish, they'll let you go. But they know everything we say and everything we do. They know all of our moves. I don't even talk to certain people. My phone would let me know that somebody just came to Vegas. I don't care to know that. But if I know it, the system is set up to where somebody else knows it. So beware of what you post, what you allow into your system. Get educated. And I mentioned it some months ago, and I didn't want to really talk about it, but because I don't like putting little information out there trying to scare anybody or anything like that. But you gotta read, and if not read, just go online and look up concentration camps. Look at why they're here, what they're gonna be used for. Why are they empty right now? And they've been making them for the last 10 years. In Georgia right now, they have and basically a big old hole dug out of the earth, and they have these big old 5 body caskets that are stacked. You can drive by. There's people who talk about it all the time. You could drive by them and see them. They stack by like the 10, and they're in the ground and they're stackable. So 5 people can fit in one of these things at one time, and you can stack 50 people, 50 bodies in 10 of those things. Why are they here? Why did the government use so much of the taxpayers' money to go build all these concentration camps? And they use Walmarts. I don't know if they closed one in your city, but if you're close to the middle of America, hundreds of Walmarts have been shut down, and a lot of them have been turned into camps. There's gates and towers and whole systems that are set up around these old Walmarts. Government trucks coming in, bringing in certain stuff. They have underground passages, all kinds of stuff. If you read about it, and they do it right in our face. One thing about evil is evil wants you to know it's there. Evil wants to see your reaction. Evil wants to react off of your reaction. That's why they put certain things out there and see how we're going to eat it up, such as like murder cases that people and by the millions or hundreds or thousands will follow. And when we're done, we got no further than we actually were. All we did was bring other people's names and business into it. Actually, one thing happened, but there's 55 different narratives now. And at the end of the day, there was nobody in jail. Nobody's in trouble. We just wasted months and years and days and weeks of our lives to try to figure out something, not realizing we're in a personal conundrum. We have personal issues that we set aside and allowed not to be an issue because this thing was so important. We're going to find out what happened. And all the while, they are continuing to oil the machine, and the machine is just producing and producing and producing. And there's nothing we could do to stop it at this point because have been so wrapped up into the gimmies and the look at me's and the asses on the sink and the titties and the look at my money, and everybody's on social media with the look at me. Yeah, pretty soon we ain't gonna be able to look at you. um it's about to go down, and that's all I'm gonna leave y'all with. um this isn't like to scare anybody or nothing like that, but we're so unknowledgeable about the shit that's happening right in our face, right in our face. All these stories about these ladies getting touched and raped, I believe half of them. It's easy for a woman to say somebody touched me. It's easy to group up with 5 or 6 or 10, 15 women and say 30 years ago he touched me. Um, it's so easy to be a big time person now and have somebody attack your name and your character. It could be false, but if it's going on for 2-3 weeks, you lose sales, you lose credibility, and you got all these people who got personal issues, things we need to be figuring out in our own lives. How we gonna eat next month? How we gonna pay this rent? But everybody is stuck on R. Kelly. Everybody is stuck on Chris Brown and Takashi and uh, KJ and all this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna ask you, out of that whole Kanika Jenkins case, Did you guys get anywhere? What happened? What happened? I'm just trying to figure it out. You got a whole bunch of people in the community. You got a whole group of people with their own platforms and stuff now. And I'm hey, I'm one of them. I took a direction to go another way early on, but we got all these people that derived out of this issue, and it created so many other issues. We're trying to fight for justice at first, and it turns into personal battles with people's kids and livelihoods, and information's coming out that has nothing to do with justice. But this is the country we live in. Everybody who has a phone or some way to get on social media now has a voice. I have an opinion, and I want to be heard. If we spend a lot more time focusing on ourselves and coming together on pertinent issues that affect us all, this country could have been a beautiful place. But it was never designed that way. Freedom has always been a, a mask. It's always been an idea. It's never really been a reality. You get too high, you will be chopped the fuck down. You get too high, you will be bought out. You get too high, you will be murdered. That's just the way it is. I often say I wish I was this age in the 70s. I wouldn't have to deal with this shit. It was a more free time. That was probably the freest, liberating time in America after the civil rights, right before the crack epidemic and all that shit in the 80s. But the 70s was a great time when you look back on it. But remember, you're only as free as the parameters they set. A lot of us don't go to the edge anyway. Some of us look for freedom upward, not really understanding the outskirts. You're trapped. Even if you ask slaves, freedom is a mentality. Half of us don't even know what to do with freedom. We've been caged, quote unquote, for so long that you give somebody freedom and they'll end up putting themselves back in the cage. Right? We don't think for ourselves. People don't think for themselves. We allow social media to think for us. We allow social media to give us attitude and personality and things to talk about. Everything that's going on now has been going on for years. Been going on. Slowly but surely, they get a little more confident and they push a little bit more information out, and we got to deal with it. This whole world is like a big mask. What we think isn't, and what we don't think about is. It's crazy. I implore you guys to love your family hard and those close relatives, like the ones you made, the ones that made you, and the ones who've been family all along. Relatives are just relatives. You can't dictate who your relatives are, but you can dictate who your family is. So get as close as you can to them. I don't know what the outcome is. I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know what the end result is. I don't know what the whole point is, but I do know it's ugly. I do know it ain't going to get better before it gets worse. I do know it has nothing to do with race. I do know that I'm somewhat prepared mentally. Physically, monetarily, and all that? No, not at all. Emotionally, barely. But mentally, I'm prepared because I've always wanted to know what was going on. A little bit of outside of what they show us. And you got to think, most of the people who are in power own everything. People at the top, my son writing me letters. My phone's still not. Look at this. My son, it's a beautiful thing to watch your kids grow up and spell and all that stuff. I be hard on them a little bit but that's because I want the best for him. But hold on, Sonny, need some air. But yeah, I just want you guys to be knowledgeable about this stuff, man. Um, and you're right, British Empire, America does belong to you. Um, I live in this country. I don't know no other country, but just based on what I know and based on the common sense, well, the sense that I have, and the little education that I have, um, this world, this country is a fucking joke. It is. It's a joke. It's a joke that doesn't require laughter. It's a joke that is like, it's not humorous. Let's put it that way. So yeah, basically, I just want to warn you a little bit. It's hard for me to get up on social media and be positive and do poetry and stuff like that here lately, especially lately when I know so much is going on and so much is about to go on. And not to say that little pockets of positivity don't help. If I'm the person that's ushering it out, it's hard for me to get my mind on very small, minute issues like protecting women or children or being a solid man. Because a lot of this stuff we should know already. How we treat people and how we deal with people on a one-on-one as a group of people, it should be common sense. It should be common knowledge. It should be common practice. And that's where I come in at when I do my poetry and stuff like that. I'm speaking from a perspective that's already been spoken on. Like I'm not saying new shit. I'm not some deeply rooted, educated scholar with a brand new way to think. I'm regurgitating information that I think is important. I'm chewing on shit that's already laid out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just trying to share a bite of what I've eaten. So I'm not, and never claim to be, and don't act like I'm smarter than anybody or know anything. And smart is application anyway. Knowledge itself is what we should be seeking. The application of that knowledge is what makes you smart or not, depending on the circumstance. So, each his own. But I have enough care and love in my heart for other individuals, some specific, some groups, that I feel like it's my duty to share information. I feel like it's my duty to be, basically, I'm not ever going to be in a Martin Luther King situation. I'm not ever going to lead a group of people marching for a cause. There's too many causes and not enough people willing to march in the first place. And I don't like hypocrites. I don't like people who find things that they say are important, but they have many of things to fix in their own home. I mean, that's what a lot of us do. A lot of us have something to say about other things and other people in other places, and our home is fucked up. Our home is terrible. There's so much we could be doing at home. And I believe if we were more diligent in that over a period of time, we're talking 20, 30 years, we will all be in a better place. But we've become so dependent on systems. We've become so dependent on social media for information that we've been dumbed down to the point where even educated people have to come down here to have conversations. Like I can't even use my typical vernacular because I'll sound like I'm trying to be something else, and I can't communicate with the people around me. We spend all this time in school getting educated, letting this system become that we get further and further away from being human beings. We get further and further away from being family, from being common folk. And we allowed it to happen. We sat back and allowed a lot of this shit to happen because everything became easy. Touch of a button, click of a mouse. All I got to do is use my thumb or my fingertips to have conversations, to get my opinion across. The relationship between people have been fucked up and distorted and convoluted and there's no density. It's There is no concentrate love. Everything is watered down. Relationships, everything. You need to death do us apart. Now it's people getting divorced 3 weeks after they get married, after spending thousands of dollars on a marriage that they were doing to look a certain way to other people. When you really love somebody, you don't need the world to know. The world will know if you really love them. I think that's another reason why I've never been married, because I really do that for myself. Like, I really use my heart for myself. I don't care who sees and who knows, So unfortunately, I might have to curl up with my son and take everything that's happening. It would be a lot easier to do it with a partner or a teammate or whatnot, but it goes beyond shit like that. I think thinking about marriage and relationships in this time, maybe that time has passed. Maybe there's bigger issues for me to focus on, for us to focus on. If you got it, great. If you got it, keep it. If you got it, that might be what helps you live longer or stay afloat longer. I thank anybody who's tuned in to me whenever I've done this. Despite what some people might say about me, the most important thing is I know who I am. I know why I do what I do. I know why I say what I say. And like-minded people, whenever they hear somebody talking about me, your spirit knows what's up. And shame on the people who lets someone's personal narrative mean something to you about me. Shame on you. I'm here to be liked. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the respect, but I never went live to be liked. I never went live to earn money or to sway people. I have a way I think. I have a way that I operate. And my goal has always been to share information, share my ideas, and see where it falls, see where it lands, to see if it has a landing spot. For the most part, it's always landed somewhere. I'm not an alien. There's other human beings that echo my sentiments or whatever, but I'm like, when I say I'm a spiritual person, it's so beyond words. I can't really even put it into words unless you're a spiritual being too. We don't even have to have that conversation. But me having that conversation with somebody who's not lined up, put together how I am, it won't even be conversation. It should just be words. And if you are like I am, we don't even have to have that conversation. We could use our energy to talk about things other than what we know already, right? I don't know when I'll go live again. If I'll go live again. I didn't even plan on going live here, but I have so much going on in my head, in my mind. YouTube has also been an outlet for me. It's always been an outlet to, hold on real quick. It's always been an outlet for me. I'm gonna see if I could post this right here. Y'all, never mind that poll. But it's always been an outlet for me because of the type of person I am, because of the type of mind that I have. I've been able to share some things without having to have conversation and get it out. I don't need opposition on what I feel. If you feel different, then by all means feel different. Sometimes I would rather have a monologue than a dialogue, because what I'm saying is my truth, and I don't need opposition to it. I don't need to defend what I feel. I've been here to understand what I think, what I feel has been a combination of experiences and me paying attention and coherent to what's going on around me. And I do take on the spirit of other people. I do take on other people's bullshit and good shit. We are not in this world alone. We are a product of our environment. We're a product of the people we are around the most. If you like being around certain people more than others, then that your spirit It could be a good or a bad thing. I choose to be by myself most of the time because I know me. I believe I believe in me. I believe I know what I know. So it makes it easier for me to go through life sometimes uh, by myself, but not overall. I need people. I need love. I need understanding. I need communication. I need to be an ear for people. And I also need an ear for myself. Um, but I just want to know that I'm not alone in how I feel. I want to know that although my thoughts are my own, that I'm not the only one that owns these ideas, the only one that owns this information, that knows this stuff. Um, I don't know what the end result is. I don't know how this is going to end, but I know that we are right in the middle of life changing as we become to know it. Will we be better off than a third world country when the dust settles? Maybe. Will we actually be a third world country? Maybe. And because we may end up being quote unquote a third world country, that term may not exist anymore. It might just be two classes, the people with and the people without. You guys have the best day you possibly can. Have the best week you possibly can. The best life you don't take for granted any opportunity for information or any opportunity for growth. Like I said, I don't know how this is going to end. I just know that we're in it. Take ownership of your thoughts. Take ownership of your life, because too much of it is already owned by outside entities, creating emotions for you, creating thoughts and ideas for you, having us be dumbed down as a society, having us less apt to fight and stand up for what we believe in. We would rather post it and keep living. We would rather post it and go cook dinner. It's never too late to learn, never too late to know, never too late to grow. I don't know what fighting would do. I don't know how we should fight. I don't know if we should fight. I don't know if I'm supposed to say, yes, I'll go work for free in the concentration camp or go or kill me because I refuse to give up the last bit of freedom that I have. I don't know. I do know that the time is coming. I do know that this government is sneaky and very smart because they've understood how to understand us. So you mean to tell me that they have all these facilities empty for nothing? No. There will be grandmas and children and people who actually work and pay taxes will be there because it's not about money and it's not about race. We're way beyond that. I don't even understand when there's people, quote unquote, white who still use the term nigger, who still thinks black people are bad. It's sad. We've got so many bigger issues. It's even worse when a black person's affected by it. I'm not affected by that shit at all. Those are some words. You got to look at the messenger. You got to look at how ignorant they are. It's so much bigger than that. I'm looking at how ignorant we are. We all niggas. We all niggers when you look up the true definition of it, because we are all ignorant to things that are happening right in front of us that affect all of us. I'll leave you guys with that. Have a great day. Have the best day you can. Educate yourself. Take a stand where you can. And on we can come together wrong, let's come together wrong. On things that separate us, just leave it alone. We got family we don't fuck with because we don't agree with them. We got family we don't fuck with because they've done this or done that, or because they're just certain type people. So wouldn't it be a lot easier to leave people alone you don't know? Or is it a lot easier to fuck with them because we can sit behind a machine and push buttons and say whatever comes to our mind, whether we really believe it or not, just because we have a voice? Everybody got a voice, but not everybody speaks. And when some of those people speak, not everybody can hear you. Maybe it's too late. Maybe it's right on time. Have a great day.